All right, folks, let's cut through the noise and talk about belly fat. Everyone hates it. Everyone wants it gone. And every influencer on Instagram seems to have the secret hack to burn it off in 7 days. Spoiler alert, they're lying. Belly fat is stubborn, but it's not magical. It follows the same rules as the rest of your body fat. It's just a little harder to convince it to leave. Let's break down why. First, belly fat sticks around because it's usually your body's favorite storage site. Think of it as your body's savings account of energy. Other areas like arms or face might lean out faster, but the belly, that's the vault. Evolutionarily, it makes sense. You need quick access to energy near your core, so your body defends it. Second, hormones play a role. Belly fat is more sensitive to certain stress hormones, like cortisol. High stress, poor sleep, or being in a calorie deficit for too long can make that fat more resistant. So no, it's not just about eating clean or doing endless crunches. Third, and here's the part no one wants to hear, there are no shortcuts. You can't rub a cream, take a pill, or do 1,000 sit-ups to spot reduce belly fat. The way to lose it is the same boring science that works everywhere else. A calorie deficit over time, combined with strength training to hold on to muscle, that's the unsexy truth. Finally, let's talk strategy. To actually see your belly fat shrink, you need 3 big levers. A consistent calorie deficit, not crash diets, but sustainable cuts. Regular strength training so you lose fat, not muscle. Patience, because belly fat is the last to go, not the first. So next time you hear about detox teas or one weird trick to melt belly fat, remember this, it's not about tricks. It's about consistency, patience, and letting biology do its thing. Stick with the fundamentals, and your belly fat won't stand a chance in the long run. When people complain about belly fat, they often make it sound like it's this alien thing that somehow works differently than the rest of body fat. Why won't it go away? Why does my face look lean? My arms have veins popping, but my stomach still looks like I'm storing snacks for winter. The truth is actually much less mystical and much more biological. Belly fat is simply your body's preferred long-term storage site. It's not special, it's not cursed, and it's not because you ate bread last Tuesday. It's because your body sees your midsection as prime real estate for saving energy. Think about it this way. Fat is stored energy, plain and simple. And if your body is going to stash away extra calories for later use, it's going to put them somewhere safe, accessible, and protective. Your belly checks all those boxes. It's close to your core, which means that energy is near vital organs and easy to mobilize if needed. It's also a relatively large expandable area compared to, say, your forearms or calves. That's why most people don't end up with giant fat wrists, but they sure do end up with belly fat. Evolution designed it this way for survival, not aesthetics. Back in the days when food wasn't a guaranteed daily thing, humans who could store fat in big centralized deposits near the torso had a better chance of making it through rough times. Imagine 2 cave people. One stores fat evenly across the arms, legs, and face. The other stores mostly around the belly. If a famine hits, the belly storage individual has more concentrated energy reserves close to the organs that matter most. Who's surviving longer? Exactly. And even though we're no longer dodging famine on the daily, our physiology didn't update just because Uber Eats showed up. Another reason belly fat sticks is because it's cost-effective for your body. Energy storage isn't just about piling fat anywhere. It requires blood supply, hormonal regulation, and physical space. The belly is an efficient area where the body can expand storage without compromising function too much. If you tried to store the same amount of fat in your face, well, your head would look like a balloon. Not exactly practical, but the belly, it can stretch, adjust, and still let you function. That's why biologically your body says, perfect spot, store it here. Now here's the kicker. When you start dieting and burning fat, the body doesn't necessarily go straight to the belly to pull from those reserves. It actually prefers to burn from other places first, places where fat is less protected. That's why so many people notice their face leaning out, their arms looking slimmer, or even their legs showing veins while their belly still looks the same. It's not that your belly fat isn't being touched at all, but it's the last part your body is willing to let go of. Think of it like the emergency savings account. You might spend money from your wallet or checking account for daily stuff, but you don't drain your emergency savings until you absolutely have to. Belly fat is your body's emergency savings account. This is where people start to get frustrated. They say, I've been dieting for weeks, my clothes fit better, but my stomach looks the same, this must not be working, and then they quit. But the reality is the process is working, it's just that the belly is the last to show the results. The fat there is being reduced, but not nearly at the same pace as areas that your body considers less essential for survival, which means patience is the price of admission. Here's another layer, genetics. Some people have more belly fat storage predisposed by their DNA. Others store more in hips, thighs, or lower back. You've probably seen people who stay lean everywhere but seem to carry all their weight in the stomach, or the opposite where someone has abs showing but can't lose the fat on their thighs. That's not magic or failure, that's genetics. Your body has a map of where it wants to store and where it wants to release fat. And while you can't rewrite the map, you can eventually work your way down to those stubborn areas by sticking to the process long enough. Let's be honest, most people don't want to hear that. They want to believe that there's a secret ab workout, a supplement, or some timing trick that melts belly fat first, but that's not how biology works. It's not like your body has a menu where you can say, yes, please, I'd like to burn love handles first. If only it worked like that, we'd all have abs by now. But since it doesn't, your job is to play by the actual rules of physiology. Create a calorie deficit, train hard, hold on to your muscle, and wait. And here's the good news. Even though belly fat is the last to go, it does go. If you stay consistent long enough, you'll eventually force your body to dip into that savings account and start burning from the belly. It might take months. For some people, depending on how much they have to lose, it might take years. But the process is reliable. It's not a question of if it will go, it's a question of when. The people who make it are the ones who stop looking for magic tricks and stick with the boring, unsexy fundamentals. So next time you get frustrated that your belly fat seems glued in place, remember, it's not personal, it's not a curse, and it's not because you're doing something wrong. It's just your body protecting its favorite energy vault. Keep pushing, keep consistent, and eventually you'll crack that vault open. That's the truth. When people talk about belly fat, they almost always forget that hormones are running the show behind the scenes. And honestly, hormones don't care about your summer beach trip, your wedding photos, or your Instagram selfies. They care about survival, energy balance, and keeping your body functioning under stress. One of the big players here is cortisol, the stress hormone. And let me tell you, belly fat absolutely loves cortisol. It's like peanut butter and jelly. Put the two together and you get a storage problem that just won't go away as fast as you want. Cortisol is released when you're under stress, physical, mental, emotional, you name it. Your body interprets stress as a signal that life might get tough soon, so it prepares you by storing energy. And where's the easiest, most convenient place to stash that energy? Right around your midsection. That's why when you're going through stressful periods, sleeping poorly, or over-dieting, the belly seems to puff up or just hold on stubbornly. Your body isn't trying to annoy you, it's trying to keep you alive in case things get worse. Now, stress isn't just your boss yelling at you or traffic on the highway. Stress also comes from inside your own choices. Dieting too aggressively, training too hard without recovery, or sleeping 4 hours a night are all stressors. People often think more restriction equals faster results, but if you keep pushing your body into the ground, you're basically dialing cortisol up to 11. And what happens, your belly fat becomes even more resistant to loss. It's like your body saying, oh, you think food is scarce and life is dangerous? Better hold on to this belly fat for dear life. It gets even more interesting. Fat cells in different parts of your body respond differently to hormonal signals. For example, the fat in your arms or face is a little more easygoing. It doesn't fight too hard when your body wants to use it as fuel. But belly fat has more receptors that are sensitive to stress hormones. That means when cortisol is elevated, belly fat gets the memo loud and clear. Don't let go, times are tough. So while you're burning fat elsewhere, your stomach just shrugs and says, nah, I'm staying right here. And this is where people fall into traps. They assume the belly fat isn't moving because they're not doing the right exercise or not eating the right food. That's when they start doing 1,000 crunches or cutting out carbs entirely or buying some detox tea. But the real culprit is often stress management and recovery. You can be eating in a deficit, lifting weights, and doing everything technically right. But if you're constantly stressed and not sleeping, that hormonal environment makes belly fat a lot harder to lose. Let's also touch on insulin, another hormone that gets blamed unfairly. People love to say insulin is the reason they can't lose belly fat. They think carbs spike insulin, and insulin locks fat away forever. That's a nice scary story, but it's not reality. Insulin's main job is to help nutrients get into cells, and it rises and falls all the time. The problem isn't insulin itself. It's the combination of high stress, poor diet quality, and overeating calories over time. If you're constantly stressed, underslept, and overeating, insulin just adds fuel to the fire, and belly fat is the happy beneficiary. But if you're eating in a calorie deficit, exercising, and managing recovery, insulin isn't the villain, it's just doing its job. Another hormonal factor here is that as you diet longer, your body produces more hunger hormones like ghrelin and lowers satiety hormones like leptin. What does that mean for belly fat? It means your body is actively defending its fat stores. Again, from an evolutionary standpoint, this is brilliant. Your ancestors who held on to fat under stress lived long enough to pass on their genes. The ones who burned through fat too quickly starved. So here we are in 2025, dealing with the same built-in defense system every time we try to cut down for abs. And here's something most people don't realize. The hormonal environment isn't about quick fixes. You can't meditate for 5 minutes and suddenly melt belly fat. You can't pop a supplement and magically balance cortisol. The real solution is lifestyle consistency. Sleep 7 to 9 hours. Manage your training so you're challenging your body, but not obliterating it. Don't diet so hard that you're constantly starving, anxious, and thinking about food 24/7. When stress and cortisol go down, your hormonal environment shifts in your favor. That's when belly fat becomes less stubborn. So if you're sitting there wondering why your belly fat won't move even though you're in a calorie deficit, ask yourself, how's my sleep? How's my stress? Am I constantly overthinking food, hammering cardio every day, or skipping recovery? Because if your hormones are screaming danger, your belly fat is going to hang around like a loyal friend who doesn't take hints. Fix those variables, and suddenly the fat starts to budge. At the end of the day, belly fat isn't some cursed magical tissue. It's regular fat that just happens to be more sensitive to stress and hormones. And while you can't hack biology into submission, you can work with it. Reduce stress where you can, get proper rest, eat in a sustainable deficit, and train smart. Do those things consistently, and eventually, hormones stop screaming, hold on to the belly, and start allowing you to let it go. That's the truth. Belly fat is stubborn, not just because of calories, but because of hormones. The more stressed and underslept you are, the more stubborn it becomes. Solve that piece of the puzzle, and suddenly the whole process of losing belly fat makes a lot more sense. Every time I hear someone say, I just need to find the right exercise to burn belly fat, I can't help but laugh a little. Not because it's a dumb question. Honestly, it's one of the most common fitness beliefs out there, but because the science has been crystal clear on this for decades. Spot reduction doesn't exist. You cannot target belly fat with crunches, sit-ups, planks, Russian twists, or any other ab shredder workout. The only way to reduce belly fat is the same boring, predictable method that reduces fat everywhere else. Creating a calorie deficit, combining it with strength training, and doing it consistently over time. Now let's unpack why spot reduction doesn't work. Fat is not like a local bank account where you can just walk up and withdraw from a specific branch. Fat is a system. Your body stores energy as triglycerides in fat cells spread across your body. When you burn energy, your body mobilizes those triglycerides, converts them into usable fuel, and distributes it into your bloodstream to power your muscles and organs. Notice what's missing? There's no mechanism that says, oh, he's doing crunches, let's pull fat out of the abs. That's just not how fat metabolism works. It's a global process, not a local one. This is why people who spend hours hammering ab exercises end up with stronger abs, maybe even more muscle under the fat, but the belly itself looks unchanged. They think, I must be doing something wrong. Maybe I need a different ab routine, or maybe I should do 500 reps instead of 100. Nope. What they're really doing is building a nice six-pack underneath the fat, but the fat isn't going anywhere because they haven't created the conditions for overall fat loss. It's like buying a brand new couch, but never cleaning the clutter out of your living room. Sure, the couch is great, but you can't see it under the mess. And while we're here, let's kill another myth. Sweating doesn't mean you're burning belly fat either. Those waist trimmers and plastic wraps that make you sweat around your stomach, all they're doing is dehydrating you temporarily. You might lose some water weight, but the moment you drink fluids, it comes right back. You're not melting fat, you're just making yourself uncomfortable and maybe ruining your shirts in the process. So what actually works? Let's say it together. Calorie deficit. I know it's not glamorous. It doesn't sell supplements, but it's the fundamental truth. If you're eating more calories than you burn, your body stores the excess as fat. If you eat fewer calories than you burn, your body has no choice but to tap into stored fat for energy. That includes belly fat. But here's the catch. It's going to tap into fat stores according to your genetics, hormones, and biology, not according to your preferences. You can't control the order in which fat comes off, but you can control whether or not fat comes off at all. Strength training is the second part of the puzzle. If all you do is cut calories without resistance training, your body doesn't just lose fat, it loses muscle too. And here's the big problem with that. Losing muscle makes you look smaller, weaker, and softer, not leaner. You don't want to just shrink, you want to reveal shape. Muscle is the shape. Muscle is what gives definition to your arms, shoulders, chest, and yes, even your abs. So if you're dieting without lifting, you're basically stripping away both fat and muscle, and you end up with the dreaded skinny fat look. The goal isn't to lose weight. The goal is to lose fat while keeping muscle. Let's bring cardio into the conversation. Cardio is a tool, but it's not the main weapon against belly fat. Cardio helps increase calorie expenditure, meaning it can support your calorie deficit, but it doesn't get special privileges over fat distribution. Jogging doesn't specifically burn belly fat. Biking doesn't burn thigh fat. Rowing doesn't melt love handles. They all just burn calories, which contributes to overall fat loss. Again, your body decides where the fat comes off, not the exercise. Now, here's why people cling to spot reduction. It feels logical. You do push-ups, your chest gets stronger, you squat, your legs grow. So naturally, you think, if I work my abs, my belly fat will shrink. But fat isn't muscle. Muscle adapts locally to tension and stress. Fat responds globally to energy balance. That's the key distinction people miss. And once you understand that, all those 10-day ab shred programs just become laughable marketing gimmicks. The real secret is painfully simple. Get into a calorie deficit, lift weights to keep your muscle, and wait. Over time, the fat covering your abs decreases, and the muscle underneath becomes visible. That's how six-packs are revealed, not built. You can't out-exercise a bad diet, and you can't trick your body into targeting belly fat with fancy moves. The boring truth is also the freeing truth. Once you stop wasting energy on spot reduction fantasies, you can focus on what actually works. You don't need to do 500 crunches a day. You don't need to wear sweat belts. You don't need to cut out carbs entirely or take magic fat-burning pills. You just need a sustainable calorie deficit, resistance training to protect your muscle, and enough patience to let your body tap into fat stores over time. And when it finally does, yes, the belly fat will go. It might take longer than you like. It might be the last holdout, but if you stay consistent, the biology is undeniable. Fat loss happens systemically, not locally, so the six-pack is revealed not by attacking the belly directly, but by doing the unglamorous work of total fat loss. That's the truth people don't want to hear because it doesn't sound sexy. But you know what's actually sexy? Results. And results come from accepting the boring reality and sticking to it. Belly fat doesn't have a secret handshake. It responds to the same rules as every other fat deposit in your body. Follow those rules long enough, and you'll see the results you've been chasing. Everyone wants to know the secret trick to losing belly fat. They'll ask about supplements, timing meals, fasting windows, ab exercises, even strange hacks like apple cider vinegar shots before bed. And here's the tough truth. There is no trick. The only real secret to losing belly fat is the thing nobody wants to hear: consistency and patience. Not a week, not a month, sometimes not even a year, depending on how much fat you've got to lose. The belly fat is the last to go, not the first. And that means if you want it gone, you've got to be in this for the long haul. Let's start with consistency. Fat loss doesn't care about your good days. If you're perfect Monday through Thursday, but go off the rails Friday through Sunday, your body doesn't give you partial credit. The math is simple. If your average across the week still puts you at maintenance or surplus, belly fat is staying put. That's why people say, I'm dieting, but nothing's happening. No, you're dieting some of the time. Consistency means stacking day after day, week after week, in a calorie deficit. It doesn't mean perfection. No one eats perfectly. But it does mean keeping your average in check. Fat loss rewards consistency, not heroics followed by sabotage. Now let's talk patience. The body doesn't like losing fat, especially stubborn fat like the kind in your belly. From an evolutionary standpoint, fat is survival. Your body has millions of years of programming that says, hold on to this as long as possible. So when you create a calorie deficit, your body fights back. Hunger hormones go up, energy levels drop, recovery feels slower. All of these are defense mechanisms, and this is where patience comes in. If you expect belly fat to melt away in a couple weeks, you're going to be disappointed and probably quit. If you accept that this is a marathon, not a sprint, you'll stick around long enough to see the results. The people who win at fat loss aren't the ones with the best genetics or the fanciest supplements or the craziest workouts. They're the ones who stay consistent and patient long enough for biology to finally give in. Think of fat loss like digging a tunnel. You dig and dig and dig, and at first it feels like nothing is happening. You're just moving dirt. But if you stop halfway, you never break through. If you keep digging, one day the wall crumbles and you see light. Belly fat is that wall. It's the last barrier, the toughest to break, but it will break if you keep digging. Let's make it practical. Imagine you're on a diet. For the first month, you drop weight fast, mostly water, glycogen, and some fat. Your face looks leaner, your clothes feel looser, but your belly, still there. Month 2, weight loss slows down. You're down a few pounds, arms look better, veins are popping, but the belly fat still hanging on. This is where most people throw in the towel. They think this isn't working, when in reality it's working exactly the way it's supposed to. The belly is just the final boss. You don't quit the game at the final boss. You keep playing until you beat it. Strength training makes patience pay off even more. Why? Because while you're slowly peeling off fat, you're also holding on to muscle. That means when the belly fat finally does go, you don't just look skinny, you look lean, athletic, defined. Without muscle, a flat stomach just looks flat. With muscle, a lean stomach shows abs. And yes, abs are made in the kitchen, but they're revealed through patience in fat loss and protected by strength training. If you skip lifting because you think cardio alone will do the trick, you're setting yourself up for a smaller but softer look. Another reason patience matters is plateaus. Your body adapts to dieting. The same calorie deficit that worked in week 1 may not work in week 12. Metabolism slows slightly, movement outside the gym drops because you're tired, and hunger creeps up. Patience means you don't freak out at plateaus. You adjust slightly lower calories, slightly increase activity, and keep going. It's not a sign that you're broken, it's just biology doing what biology does. The people who are patient enough to adjust calmly are the ones who actually reach that lean, flat stomach. Everyone chases. And let's not forget the psychological side. Patience means accepting that you can't rush biology. If you try crash diets, extreme cardio marathons, or starvation tactics, you might lose weight fast, but you'll burn out, rebound, and gain it back with interest. Slow and steady isn't sexy, but it's sustainable. And sustainable is the only way to actually keep the belly fat off once it's gone. Losing it is only half the battle. Keeping it off requires the same consistency and patience you used to lose it in the first place. So the next time you feel frustrated staring in the mirror thinking your belly fat is mocking you, remember, this is the game. Belly fat is stubborn by design. But stubborn doesn't mean impossible. It means you have to outlast it. Every consistent week chips away at it. Every patient month moves you closer. And one day you wake up, look in the mirror, and realize that wall you thought was permanent has finally come down. That's the truth no influencer wants to tell you, because patience consistency doesn't sell quick fix products. But it's the only truth that works. You can't cheat biology. You can only respect it, work with it, and give it the time it requires. If you do that, the belly fat will go. Not overnight, not easily, but inevitably.